So, the translations are out for My Hero Academia, manga chapter 327, and this was the chapter we've been waiting for literal weeks! We finally get what we asked for, and it was amazing! And we'll talk about exactly what I'm talking about right after this intro. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Man Drew, and I'm here to do my review of My Hero Academia, manga chapter 327, titled Rest. So, I probably would need some rest, but, I got like 6 hours of sleep, so I'm really doing pretty well. Unlike Deku, who hasn't really gotten any sleep at all. So, yeah, based off the title of that chapter, we finally get Deku, finally going to sleep. But yeah, when it comes to this chapter of My Hero Academia, this was probably the most laid-back chapter that we've gotten in a while. We got a large focus on the cast of Class 1A helping Deku, finally giving Deku the bath he always needed for like the past, several chapters, as well as we get a little bit understanding and a little bit more complexity with how they're feeling in this moment, not just involving Deku, not just involving All Might, but with what's going on with Shoto. As well as at the end, we get a major reveal about some new information that we're going to really desperately need if we're going to take down All for One in Shigaraki. So, before we get more into the review, I'd like to ask you, if you haven't done so, to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do manga reviews, discussions, and cover the spoilers for My Hero Academia, so if that's something that you're interested in, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And without the way, let's get right into the review. So, we start the chapter off with what we wanted the entire time, ever since we saw Deku in this horrible state, ever since the moment Kaminari brought up the fact that he stinks and needs a bath. We've been waiting for this moment. Deku finally takes a bath. Oh, it's so great and it's so fun, especially getting to see all of the male cast pretty much take Deku as if he's like a plank of wood, take off his clothes allegedly, just wash him, and then immediately throw him into the bathtub. And what is even more amazing is that literally they all join him in taking a bath. Oh my gosh, this is just so much manly bonding. It takes a real man to bond with someone in the bath. That's probably what Kirishima is thinking about in this moment. So yeah, it's really great. Actually, now that I think about it, Deku has inspired me to do something. Just give me a moment. Man, that was a lot better. I really needed that shower. It's been weeks. I mean, only a day. Yes, I haven't been not showering for weeks like Deku. Yeah. But yeah, I understand how Deku feels. He must feel very relaxed after taking his bath for, not doing it for weeks. But jokes aside, yeah, this was just a very cool and just very fun moment that we get to see with Deku finally being able to hang out with his classmates again. And what is even more interesting is how the people don't react to Deku being in the bath, but react to how Bakugo is acting with everything that has happened. That Tokiyami brings up the fact that, yeah, even though Bakugo has apologized, yeah, he's still the same person, which, I mean, to be fair, what the apology really does is just put Bakugo in a different state of mind and not change his character altogether, because as he even says while he's taking a bath with everyone, is that he still wants to be the #1 hero, and how he is still a rival to everyone here, including Deku, as he splashes water on Deku, as everyone's like, oh man, oh well, you know what, that's fine, ambition is all great, all right, let's drown Bakugo, as Bakugo's like, what did you just say? So, it was just a very fun and a very cool scene to finally see Deku and Bakugo at least be on very equal footing when it comes to their relationship, as well as just seeing how they're able to react and interact with everyone in Class 1A. It's always great to see the interactions between the classmates, and that's what I really liked about My Hero Academia. So, after the bath scene, which, when you really think about it, a bath scene in a manga with all dudes, Horikoshi is really breaking boundaries there. We get a few pieces of information about what's going on now as we get the title of the chapter, Rest, with 3 exclamation marks. From what here, we get the confirmation that Uraraka immediately went to sleep after her speech, which, makes sense. She probably tired herself out, as we have Mina as well as everyone else beginning to inquire about Deku and his life and how he's able to live with like all for one. They begin to prod him for questions, but then you just have Shoto who's like coming in and it's like, yeah, you know, that's cool and all, but remember, he's probably still tired right now, so we should probably give him a break. And it's very great coming from Shoto, as well as the fact that he's going to be playing another role in the later part of the chapter. But you just have Deku who's just here, like he's sort of smiling, he's sort of happy, but he's still concerned about everything that has happened. He's very concerned about the fact that he can't sleep because he wants to apologize to All Might for how he left All Might on that bad term. So he's like, man, I can't really sleep. I keep thinking about like what I did to All Might, what I said to All Might. It keeps weighing on my mind. If only I could just apologize to him right now. As you have All Might who's just creeping in the window in the background, as Shoto points him out, as we have All Might who's apologizing to Deku, as Deku is going to also try to apologize to All Might. Deku apologizes to All Might, who's like, I'm so sorry I couldn't be of any help to you, Midoriya-chan. As everyone, specifically Mina, begins to chastise All Might for leaving without telling anyone, as he pretty much gives a short, ambiguous explanation for what's going on. To pretty much sum up what he says, he tells him that, yo, everything's gonna be fine. I just need to do some stuff. I gained some details. I gained some intel. So everything's gonna be fine. Once we get all this information settled, then I can tell you. But up until then, I can't really tell y'all a whole lot. And while he's saying this, we have All Might have also an inner monologue about how not only is he telling these students like not to worry, that everything's going to be fine and that they're coming up with a plan, but that he's going to somehow, some way get himself involved with it. That even though he isn't as powerful as he used to be, and even though he's technically not a hero, he's still going to try and fight alongside them to help keep that embers and to keep that burning desire that All Might had and what All Might represents, to continue to stroke that flame so that it can grow bigger and brighter. As when he thinks about this, you also have Deku finally apologizing to All Might, to Toshinori, about how he's sorry for everything that he did, and that the tonkatsu bento that he made was delicious, and that even though that they're in this bad state, that together we're going to protect everyone. As you have All Might saying thank you, as he begins to end his monologue by saying that he wants to show these students and he wants to show them that he can still keep up, even though he's not in this very heroic state anymore. So yeah, after that small like conversation that Deku has with All Might, and he's able to finally apologize to him, we just have All Might leaving as everyone is just coming back, beginning to talk about everything that's about to go on, as we get that finally Midoriya has finally gone back to sleep, right at the moment where people are beginning to talk about why Endeavor and Hawks hasn't returned back to UA, which ties into what the second part of this chapter is really about, Shoto Todoroki. And what's very cool and interesting about this is that they bring up this idea that the reasoning why Endeavor and Hawks hasn't returned is because Endeavor's dirty laundry was thrown out to the public for everyone to see. His shirts, his clothes, his underwear, his thongs, everything was thrown out. It is now public knowledge, and a lot of people aren't really happy about that. Apparently Endeavor wears freaking briefs? Ugh, why? Who would do such a thing? So yeah, from here on out, we have Shoto who begins to have like sort of like a reflection on everything that's going on, about how even though he's a Todoroki, people are viewing the Todorokis in a negative light through Dabi and through Endeavor, and how Shoto has accepted that he is Dabi's brother and Endeavor's son, but that deep down he knows that that's going to worry people. But what he wants to do is change that perspective. He cannot forget that that is his origins, but what he can do is continue to move forward and change what it means to be a Todoroki for the better. And that's kind of what he begins to reflect on in this chapter, as well as with the help of everyone else, as really enough, we have Jiro there, as Shoto says that he wants to be different and he wants to prove it to everyone. You have Jiro who comes in and is like, yeah, everything has been really going wild, and like a lot of stuff is going on, but you know, this isn't the first time we've been through this, and that if we're able to work together, maybe together we can do something different. And before we get more into Jiro's speech, I like to say you also have this one scene of Kirishima saying that, oh my gosh, you're the man amongst men. So, you know, Kirishima being Kirishima. But yeah, what is very interesting is that not only do we go from just Shoto's speech, but we go towards more of a Jiro focused speech, and how she remembers And as she recollects about the cultural festival, as she brings in Tokugami, Momo, Kirishima, and Bakugo, you know, the people were a part of the band during the cultural festival. She begins talking about how they want to put the people at ease and wants to put smiles on their faces and make them not think about all the doom and dread similar to the cultural festival, and how she wants to do her best as well as have everyone do their best to create a better future, and how she doesn't want us to just go back to where it was, but for us to move forward and to make better versions of themselves, as she says that we need to go beyond. And unfortunately, we don't get to see them say plus ultra, most likely because Deku is asleep, but Jiro does say for all of them to go beyond, as we do get the one page of all of the class 1A that are here at this moment having very serious expressions on their faces, because they are very determined to go beyond when it comes to building a better society and being heroes to build that better society. So it just shows that they are very serious about what they want to do and that they are willing to, quote unquote, go beyond. And then the last few pages of this chapter, we pretty much focus on what they were able to gather from the information that they gained from Stain, as well as the information that they gained from Dr. Garaki. And there are mainly two big pieces of information that they really gained. One, they gained the information of how long it would take for Shigaraki's body to be completed, and they got a lot of information about the possible inmates that All For One broke out of Tartarus, because you have Hawks and Best Genus driving in this car, talking about how they used a polygraph to gain information from Dr. Garaki, where they gathered the information that it's going to take approximately 2 months for Shigaraki to be completed. And there may be an issue with the translations, because they say that it's been 2 months since the raid on Tartarus, and how they only have a month until All For One and Shigaraki makes their move, which doesn't really make sense, because Shigaraki was going to be completed within the span of 4 months from the beginning of January, or towards the end of January, to the end of April to the end of May. So it doesn't make sense for it to be 2 months since the raid and then an additional month before Shigaraki is completed. So I think that's a difference in translation. So what I'm assuming is that it's been 2 months since Tartarus. It's been a month since Deku and all of that. So they have a month left until Shigaraki is fully completed. So instead of it being 2 months since and then one additional month to prepare, it's been 1 month since the breakout of Tartarus, and then they only have 1 month left until Shigaraki is fully completed. So yeah, we got the information, as well as potentially that the shark dude that we saw Deku fighting on his own was actually an assassin sent by All For One. I'm not sure if that is something that was confirmed, but yeah, that shark guy was an assassin, as well as the one guy that Deku was able to get rid of completely, Lady Nagin, as well as Dictator. So at the very least, we've already seen 4 assassins sent by All For One, and that doesn't include Muscular, because Muscular was just let on the loose. But then from there, we also get to see Endeavor in this chapter, as he's the one that brings up the fact that even though Stain was able to give them the letter, that's not what the information that they needed came from. What was on the letter was basically just Stain monologuing, most likely, and praising All Might, pretty much a love letter to All Might. But the real information that they really needed and wanted actually came from Stain's knife from a small chip that apparently has the guards' records of Tartarus, which means that they most likely will have a list of the inmates that were in Tartarus, as well as their quirks and the type of people that they are. So this is going to be getting very interesting, and this is going to help in the fighting and planning of All For One, as you have Endeavor at the end of this chapter thinking out loud or saying that they never would have thought the hero killer would be the one to be helping us heroes, which is amazing as the chapter ends. So speculation on what that could mean is that most likely we're going to be seeing a plan where, most likely because they have the information about the people that were in Tartarus, which are going to be probably some of the most hard-hitting villains that they have to face, that they can come up with plans to counter them. Most likely they can come up with someone who can go up against Moonfish. They can have someone that goes up against possibly a figure that very looks similar to Chimera from the second movie. But with the information that they have, not only will the heroes be able to make plans for the villains that are going to be on All for One side from Tartarus, but that they can make measures to go against them. So that's kind of what this is building up to. But overall, this was a very, I wouldn't say a very like a good, spectacular, amazing chapter of My Hero Academia, but I still found a lot of enjoyment in this chapter. And it primarily comes from the fact that this chapter was really focused on the students, specifically their characters, and how they are able to interact with each other, and showing that they really do care about not just each other, but care about being heroes and wanting to help everyone. And it was just very fun to see that we finally get to see Deku finally taking that bath, and how they made it into a very jokey moment, but also sprinkled it with a hint of emotion and character growth from Bakugo. And how even though Bakugo really wants to repent for everything that he has done, that he still falls into that small like tendency to call Deku instead of calling him Izuku. And even though Deku's like, oh no, it's fine, you don't have to force yourself, he's not forcing himself to do it, it's just out of habit, and he does want to call Deku Izuku. So it's very cool to see that characterization, as well as we got to see more characterization of Shoto Todoroki and how he views the situation, and even how the students view Todoroki's situation, but how Todoroki himself, Shoto Todoroki, wants to get out of the shadow of his father and of Dabi and forge his own path and forge a new meaning for what it means to be a Todoroki. And even when it comes to Jiro, how she remembers her time at the cultural festival and how she wants to do the exact same thing, not like being in a band per se, but do what they did at the cultural festival and find a way to put everyone at ease, which could be doing another band performance or just being there for the civilians, which shows that not only Jiro, but all of the students in Class 1A are really true heroes, because they're not doing this for the fame and glory, but they're doing it because they believe it's the right thing to do and because they want to do it. As well as the ending of this chapter, where we just gained a little bit of information and a time frame for when everything is going to be going down, which is that we're most likely going to be having everything that's going on in this final arc or this final act go on within the span of a month, where it's going to be taking time for us to see what they're going to do to plan against fighting All for One, to fight against Shigaraki, to fight against the criminals at Tartarus, and come up with a plan to stop Shigaraki from becoming complete, which could eventually tie into what Shigaraki has been doing this entire time and what he has done after the war within that 1 month time span. We saw what Deku was doing, so most likely we're going to have to see what Shigaraki was. But overall, really enjoyed this chapter, got a lot of enjoyment from it, got to see a lot of characterization from the characters, as well as we get a timeline or a time frame for when everything is about to go down. So hopefully you enjoyed this chapter, hopefully you enjoyed this review, and let me just ask you, what do you think is going to be going on in the next chapter? Do you think that this was a really good chapter, or do you think that it was just okay? Do you think that Deku may have overcome his trauma too soon? I don't think so. I absolutely don't think so. But hey, leave your thoughts down in the comments down below. Leave a like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like this type of content. And don't forget to hit that notification button to be notified whenever I upload more content like this. Do all that cool jazz. And hopefully I will be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye.